foggy out this morning.
I was very surprised
Yeah.
when I looked out the window.
Yeah.
And it was misty.
Danger, Will Robbins, right?
Yeah.
Also joining us this morning, we're so glad to have her. We've got Cassandra Corp with Cass this morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
Hello.
morning. Krista, let's thank our sponsors first, okay?
Coffee Club sponsors: Metaview Health and Rehab, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Americans for Prosperity, Mama Rose's, Fox Purley Wealth Management, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn, Marshall Monuments, McAllister Land Consulting, First Harrison Bank, Louisville Batch, Schneck Hospital, and Springs Valley Bank and Trust.
Yay. Thank you to our great sponsors. And of course, Cassie, you kind of been busy kind of getting kids ready for school.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, I rolled in a little bit late.
No, you're fine.
That's my style, is to roll in right at the last minute.
That's
for
right.
School drop off.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah.
My kids don't like to be early.
No.
So it was a real negotiation.
Well, and it's hard, when you're getting everybody ready and out the door and trying to, maybe fluff your own hair for just a minute.
Right. Yeah.
I remember those days.
Yes.
I do, definitely. So we're so glad to have you with us this morning.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
Tonight we have the Pacers going strong still.
I
And
know.
so hopefully we'll get a win there. And
I'm
that'd
so
be-
excited
Me
about
too.
that.
Me too. So you can catch that game on WSLM
I'm
tonight.
a big Halliburton fan.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's
it's
so
exciting.
handsome.
There we go. We shall see. All right, we're on to the 6th day already. It's crazy of May already. Today is Childhood Depression Awareness Day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's an important day.
It
Very.
varies important. And I think years ago, let's go back maybe many years ago, you would just get over it. That's what
Yes.
you'd say to somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and now
that's
we
true.
know that that's just not the way to do that. And,
No.
and it's a real thing,
Can't always get over it.
Right.
Yeah, I think we've done a much better job of being aware of it for kids, and mental health is so important for kids. And there are so many kids who struggle so much. So hopefully this can be a day that helps us get the tools we need to help those kiddos. Yeah.
I agree. And I believe we've brought that, we've talked about mental awareness a lot lately here on the studio,
Mhm.
and bringing that to the forefront. I love that. And even if there's a new Marvel movie out, Thunderbirds, I think it's called. It's
Oh.
really good. And it talks about mental a
Oh,
little
really?
bit. Yeah. And it's so good. And I was like, oh my goodness, they're going there. And it was so good, and
Oh,
I'm so glad that even everywhere, Hollywood's even making it, everybody's trying to get on that, where we're making it where it's okay,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah,
talk
reduce that stigma. It's okay
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think
I
we've come a
agree.
long way, baby, and I hope we just keep going.
I hope
Yeah.
so too.
So,
Yeah.
this is also International No Diet Day, girls. We've been waiting for
Hey,
this.
that's
Cha-ching,
right.
cha-ching. So, okay, so let's say, Cassie, you don't care anything. Don't think about calories. Don't think about fat or anything. What would that be? That one thing you would want to have? What would you?
Okay.
What would you want Krista and I to prepare for you or go get for you?
I could eat
Maybe
pasta.
go get-
I could eat pasta every day. Yeah,
that-
just a big bowl of pasta every day.
Is that the white or the red sauce?
Oh, definitely red. I mean, the Italians don't actually use Alfredo.
Oh.
Usually-
Is that American?
Yeah, it's pretty
What?
American. My family, my grandfather came over from Italy, so I have a little bit of real Italian in me. But no, so definitely red sauce.
Okay,
Yeah,
would you
I'm an
go
American girl.
meatballs or meat sauce?
Probably meat
both?
sauce, but
Oh.
maybe both. I
Yeah.
mean, if it's a no diet day,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
maybe.
Yeah. I love both. You know what I mean? I don't do
I'm not,
both.
now,
but-
listen, I'm not going to complain.
No, would not be
I'm
mad at
gonna
that
eat
at
it.
either. No, that sounds good though. Sounds really
Yeah,
good. Yeah, I love that.
Mm.
What about you, Krista?
A great big chocolate cake,
Oh,
piece of
that's a
chocolate
good
cake.
one,
Well, let's just go.
Eat the whole cake.
Girls.
Yeah.
Let's
You
just eat
two
the
are,
whole cake.
yeah. I was gonna say, well, yeah, because it's no diet day, right?
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah. I'd
How
have
about
to.
you?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Yeah.
A Big Mac.
You don't have a guilty pleasure food?
See, I don't think Big Mac has a guilty pleasure. I think that's
No,
just like
that's
every
just
day. That's
normal.
just
That's every
survival.
day.
That's just life. Let's see here. Yeah, probably several Big Macs, maybe, or
Several Big
several Big
Macs.
Macs.
Go big or go home.
Well, it's no diet day. You know what I
The
mean?
whole day.
Yeah,
right.
right. I'm really big on pizza too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
You
a
can't
pizza
go
person.
wrong with.
But then
good
I love
pizza.
spaghetti and I love chocolate cake, so
Yeah.
I'd be
I mean,
okay.
eat
Just
it
do it
all.
all.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
What's
It
no
would be
diet
a
day, right?
Smorgasbord.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Orgasborg,
great.
Orgasborg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Joseph Brackett Day.
Okay.
it shows music notes. I don't know for sure on
I don't
that.
know who that is, but congratulations, Joseph.
Yeah. Way to
Glad
go,
you got a day.
Joe.
Glad you got a day. I'm gonna
Go,
look him
Joe.
up, and he's gonna be amazing.
I know. True. Mom's Equal Pay Day.
Well, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, aren't we all right
Yeah.
here? Look at
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
moms still aren't equally paid out there, guys. We need to work on that.
Let's do it. Yep. Yep. National Beverage Day. Shows
Okay.
a big glass of orange juice.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, hydration.
Yeah.
Pro.
What's your beverage? Your favorite beverage? Kathy?
Coffee.
Coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, which
What
is
about-
appropriate for coffee club, guys.
Yeah.
You're all
You
drinking
fit
your
right in
coffee.
here. Come on in.
Yeah.
What about you, Krista?
Unsweet tea.
Oh, that's good
Unsweet.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were. Yeah. I
I'm
remember.
a nut about unsweet
Sweet
tea.
tea. And can't you tell like when it's good?
Oh
Like
my
when
gosh,
it's good tea,
yes.
it's like coffee
Yeah.
on that.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can tell.
You know, like because I just drink my coffee,
Yeah.
and like anybody can put all that fluff in it
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
and make it.
Make
you
it
know what I
fine.
mean? Yeah.
You can have a milkshake. Yeah.
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 But like to get good coffee and to
Yeah.
get good tea,
Yeah.
it makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All it takes is one drink, and you know if it's good or if it's
Mhm.
rot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
You're right.
National Concert Day.
Oh.
Cassie, what's your favorite concert you went to? Or-
Oh, I'm kind of boring. I don't really go to concerts. I
Okay.
like but I'm
Okay.
old now.
That
So when I
came to
go
her
to
mind.
concerts, I like to get there early, and I like to find the place where the table is really far away, so that I can order food while I listen to the music. But
Oh,
we went to
that's
this
funny.
great show. Theo Katzman, who is not super well known, but he's amazing. He's based out of Michigan, and he's got like some of the most amazing musicians on his team. And so Steve and I went and did that March of 2020. So that's the last concert I've been to, but it was awesome. And that's what we did. We found a tiny table in the back, and we listened to it from the table with all the old people.
Oh, I
We
love
did not
that.
mosh. So that's me, but I'm boring. I don't do fun things like that.
I love that.
I am
How about-
even more boring than
Okay,
you
see?
because I think it's been at least 25 years, if not 30.
Oh,
that's not true for Becky.
Okay, girls.
Because Southern Culture on the Skids was in Indianapolis, and I went there, and it was great. It
Yeah.
really was. I'm just not a concert person.
Yeah.
When was the last one you went to?
Oh,
like
what,
last
last
week?
week?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. I'm a concert person, and I loved concerts. Yeah, I love concerts and I love movies. Those are my
Yeah.
two things that I love to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get
So, National Crepe Suzette Day.
Oh,
I don't know what that is. Is that
it's
like
a
looks like a-
fancy French pancake, only it's real thin.
okay? That's what.
Light and fluffy, and usually you can have savory crepe Suzettes, or you can have sweet, like with fruit.
Now I love a crepe. Do you guys like?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I love good crepes. Yeah, I do love that. National Nurses Day. Hats off to the
Yeah,
nurses out
hats
there.
off to the nurses out there.
This is
And
the
Krista, you've got
first-
some of the best of the best.
We do, yes, and this is our first day of Nurses Week
Oh, that's great.
in long-term care. I don't know if that's exclusively long-term. I think it's just
Mhm.
National Nurses Week.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
So this is the first day of that.
So what are you guys doing today?
Today is hot dog day, and they get
Mhm.
a gift every day.
Oh, that's
Yesterday, we kind of jumped the gun. Yesterday,
Mhm.
we included Cinco de Mayo
Yeah.
into
nice. I
the.
mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Such a
I know
useful-
it. And they got a gift. They get a gift every day, and tacos.
That's great. Tacos is true.
Oh,
I love a taco day.
I do too.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah. Do you like a taco bar?
Yeah.
Mm,
There's stuff on it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
the best.
it's good
Love that.
stuff.
love
Yeah.
that. Well, and
That's
hats
great.
off to the nurses. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Talk about.
We don't thank them often enough.
I agree, Cassie. I agree, 100%. National Teachers Day,
Yep, big
Oh,
fan of. This is a
okay.
great week for
I know.
appreciating all the people we love.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, two strong, very strong.
Yeah.
What they do, and I think that it's so sometimes they don't get the credit that they deserve. You know,
Yeah.
and they do it for
And
the
they
right
are
reasons.
Hard jobs.
you
That's
know.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, like nurses, like the extra care that they give, when
Mm-hmm.
no one's even looking, they're still doing it all. And
Mhm.
teachers, in that classroom doing
Yeah.
what they do, and giving that extra care and that
Yeah.
extra, staying up at night wondering, do I need to, this or having a, concern.
Yeah.
I don't think
And
we,
hats off especially to the teachers who have done extra and our CAS tutors coming out after school and before school and working with students who have done that extra mile and gotten the training to be tutors for CAS. We're really grateful for them
yeah, we're
on
gonna
this Teacher Appreciation Week. Thanks, teachers.
love that. We're going to talk about that too, Cassie, because that's awesome. National Tourist Appreciation Day.
Okay.
Hmm.
Big fan of tourists.
Yeah, I like yes. No homework day.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
homework day. Love
Big
that.
fan of that.
Poem on your pillow day.
Poem on
Aw.
your pillow.
Mhm.
Well, Steve Corp did not leave a poem on my pillow.
Well,
I have to tell
maybe
him
it was
he
a
did not-
rap.
He
I'm
doesn't
so-
observe.
I was gonna say I don't know about a poem, but he could do a rap, right?
Okay. Yeah, he could.
Got the poem on your
Yeah.
pillow.
Or at least he could beatbox it.
You beatbox it. That's what he does. Oh my goodness, it's crazy to watch him go. You know
Yeah,
what I
he's
mean?
pretty good.
Yeah, he's really good at that. Yeah. World Asthma Day.
Okay.
Very
Good
much.
to raise awareness.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So those are some things. So
Boy,
there you go.
Lots of great days to
Lots,
celebrate.
lots of
today.
great things. All right, Cassie, let's talk. I want to say, first of all, you are going to be leaving us.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know, and we all,
Yeah.
and do you realize how
Hopefully
this,
I don't cry in the
this,
air.
no,
That's
I
my
know,
goal.
in this community though, no one, like we've all rejected that. When you and your family have said that you're going to leave, no one has like,
You're
everybody's
not
been
wrong.
like,
Yeah.
we've not been, it's taken a little while. We can't get on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand.
Nobody,
No.
I mean, we like, okay, like, you know how, like, it's good and you understand everything,
Yeah.
but it's like one of those things. It's like, say it's not
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. It's been we're excited.
Mhm.
We are excited for something new and we think it's the right thing.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
going to be great, but
Mhm.
it's sad. We're
Mhm.
sad. You know, I moved here when I was 22 years old. So I literally, my brain finished developing in Salem, Indiana. So that
Mhm.
is big. We've been here for 15 years. Steve's been here for 16.
Which is
So,
huge.
Yeah, that's a long
That's
time.
yeah.
We really did intend to be here forever. So we are sad, but I just keep saying at least people aren't glad we're leaving. Nobody's cheering.
No, you're leaving on top. You're leaving on top.
So it's such a blessing to leave a place that people are so sad to see you
Mhm.
go, that you're sad to leave. But so yes, we're moving, but no, it's not goodbye. We're definitely gonna wear out the road between Detroit and Indiana.
Good. Because we'll leave the breadcrumbs to make sure you know the way back.
Oh,
You know.
yeah. Mhm.
Now I think the thing, like the Bible talks about like different seasons in your life. So what a beautiful season and what a wonderful jewel you and your family have been in this community.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope it's been a season that we are leaving it a little brighter and better than it was when we got here.
Let's go.
It was great when we got here. Don't get me wrong.
It got better.
I hope so.
So not only let's talk about, because you go back. So you had lived here how long before you started the seed started getting planted about Cast?
About 5 years, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. So Cast started in programming really started in 2014. So it's about 10 years old now.
Okay. And what made you, and
yeah.
where did it, like, let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Tell us how the baby
So
got.
it was really just a group of people who noticed that there were some kids falling through the cracks in our community and wanting to be able to like plug those holes. It wasn't anybody's individual fault. It was just there were kids who weren't getting some of the supports that they needed. And so we decided really just to find out from the schools what was most needed. And what was most needed at the time was after school programming for middle schoolers. There had been Afternoons Rock, and that grant had kind of ended through the state. And then there had been Big Brothers and Big Sisters in our community. And at that time it was ending. So there was a real opportunity to serve some kids, and they were missing some opportunities to get some positive interactions with adults. So we really just started as an after school program twice a week, doing prevention programming, doing character building, helping them with their homework, matching them with adults who could help them and provide some academic support. We just did that 2 days a week forever.
Mm-hmm.
And really until COVID, that was the primary program that we had. And then in 2019, we had realized that we were intervening a little bit too late, that we were having middle schoolers coming to us who really weren't reading proficiently, who needed someone to help them read their assignments, and couldn't figure out really where the disconnect was, couldn't figure out what we should do, but knew that we needed to do something. So we were really like just throwing paint on the walls and seeing if it was going to stick, like what's going to work to help these kids. And so one of the things that we had done was just match volunteers in second and third grade classrooms. At that time, there was a big push for third graders to be proficient readers. And so we started, well, there should always be a push, right, to have proficient readers. But at that time, it was legislatively a big push. And so we just started having volunteers in classrooms But realized again, we didn't know how to teach kids to read. We were just trying to like plug a hole, you know? And so right about the time when we were starting to reevaluate, Dustin Houchin came to us and said, hey, our son is dyslexic and we really want to start training teachers and we're thinking we want to start a nonprofit. Can you help us kind of with the process of that? How did you do it? And so during that conversation, I said, I don't really think you need a new nonprofit. And which it's hard to run a nonprofit organization. It's hard to maintain it. It's hard to start it. There's a lot of overhead and upkeep. And so we ended up, honestly, our board just decided, let's embrace this project. And so we were able to receive support from the Washington County Community Foundation donors, which we're so grateful for. And they gave us our first seed money to just start training teachers. And what we discovered is that teachers, through no fault of their own, just really, when they went through their education program, weren't necessarily being taught the way that most kids need to read for their brains. And so we started training teachers in a 40, 50-hour training. And the Community Foundation helped us to bring in trainers from the Dyslexia Institute of Indiana, which has been wonderful. And we still have a great partnership with them. And we've trained almost 100 teachers in Washington County to use this very particular, teachers and tutors. We have almost 200 kids in our tutoring program. We just ended that for this school year. And we have great rates of success now. So we match struggling readers, and now we also have math tutoring. We have a multisensory math pilot that we just started the last 2 years. And we have great rates of success. Kids are reading 20% better when they're out of our program than they were when they started. And in math, it's about 35%. So we're really proud of the progress of those kids, how hard they work, and the trajectory of their lives has totally changed. Because speaking of youth mental health, if you can't read proficiently, it impacts your life forever. Mm-hmm. And so we have really been excited to see the trajectory of their lives change. And their mental health is really impacted if you can't read your assignments and you don't. And that was the case for Graham and Dustin's child, Dustin Aaron's child, Graham, in 3rd grade, thought he was stupid, thought he couldn't spell, didn't want to go to school, didn't want to finish, didn't enjoy learning, thought he was dumb. And it wasn't true. Graham is profoundly intelligent. Mm-hmm. He's a great musician. Sure. He's going to go off to college now. He reads proficiently now at grade level. But if they hadn't figured out what the issue was, his life would be different than it is today because of the hope that he's gotten because he's a proficient reader. And so that's what we really hope to do with all of the kids in our program. And I hope that that's what we're doing. So that's how we started. Mm-hmm. And we're really proud of where we've come from, and the number of kids that we've impacted makes me real weepy to think about. I hope that those kids' lives are going to be different because somebody intervened at the right time for them. And hats off, like I said, to our educators and our school systems who have really embraced this project across our county. So we're really proud of that. And there's nothing like this in any of the counties around us, by the way. We're really unique. And the students here in Washington County have an opportunity that many kids don't. And so we hope to be able to bring it to other communities soon. Mm-hmm. And then this summer, this is our second summer as a summer learning lab expansion site. This is something that started in Indianapolis post-COVID. Indy Summer Learning Labs is what it's called. And we were the southernmost grantee last summer. The southernmost, we also had the highest rates of attendance and the highest rates of skill gain across math and English language arts for the whole state. Our site had the best rates of success. So we're really proud of that. We're excited. We are currently registering students. We have about 200 spots. Many of those are already filled though. So if you're considering sending your kiddo, if your kiddo is entering 1st grade through entering 9th grade, we will take you. And it is a really rigorous program, but it's going to be really fun too. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. And what's the cost on that?
Free.
Oh.
Free. You get free enrichment. We're going to bring free field trips to the kiddos, free lunches and breakfasts, thanks to our partners in the summer food service program at the schools here. It is free. And they get 75 minutes of English language arts, 55 minutes of math instruction. And it is based on the grade level that they're going into, but it's scaffolded. So if your student is behind, their work is going to be appropriate to their level. But if your student is on grade level, it's great for you too, because you can prepare them for the next grade level. They're engaging with grade content that is their upcoming grade. They're getting ready for that content and doing it in a really supportive small group environment. So, yeah.
And how long will it go?
It is 22 total days. So it starts May 27th and it goes until June 25th.
Okay, so you still have the rest of the summer.
Yeah,
like
you
it's
still
for
have the rest of the
vacation or whatever,
summer. Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. If you are on the fence about it, do it.
Mhm.
It's really a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to give your child the academic support that they need to be
So it
successful.
goes from like what time in the morning?
Okay, so it starts at 9 and it goes until 2. I think
Okay.
doors open at 8:30. Grab yourself some free breakfast and head to class. And the mornings are academics, and then the afternoons are always a fun activity. And we're trying to make them real, real fun this summer. So
I love that. Love that. Now, will you be able to follow the summer out? Will you be here longer?
It really depends.
Okay. Okay.
I'm definitely here through the first week of June, so I will
Okay.
start the program.
Okay.
And Emily Gibson is our programming coordinator, kind of taking over that summer program from me. She's doing a wonderful job, and so I'll be here to support her as she transitions to that role full time. So
Love that.
well, part-time, full-time for the summer. It's a full-time job.
No doubt. Now, going back on when you're talking about like getting the teachers,
Yeah.
going back and all of that, I think we need to really, since this is National Teacher Week, to emphasize, not only are they teaching, they're getting up, in the morning, getting dressed, getting ready, doing their whole day work, and then to take extra classes of an afternoon, evening. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I just like to bring it to the forefront, like
that our teachers are doing our extra, y'all. Yeah. So it's a graduate level course that these teachers have taken, and it's pretty extensive. It's difficult. It's not easy. And so for them to be able to take and usually our courses are either in evenings or they're in the summer. So they're spending a couple of weeks of their summer memorizing and testing and making sure that they're the experts in structured literacy. So that they can help these kiddos learn to read. And we are seeing a real trajectory shift in terms of the test scores for kids in our community, in terms of the number of kids who are getting the support that they need in their classroom. So the best intervention is good instruction, right? So if your classrooms are giving really effective reading instruction, we're going to have less kids overall who need tutoring. So that's the goal, is that these teachers have the skills that they need, have the tools that they need, and they're provided with them so that they can be really effective teachers. And I think we're starting to see that in Salem have really, really wonderful impact. So hats off to those teachers who realized that something needed to be done and then they did it. So yeah, good job, Washington County teachers.
Yeah, that's what I always like to bring that to their attention, because it's hard whenever
they certainly don't have to.
No,
but it's
I mean, they're in it for the right reason. You can tell that they want that to be contagious. They want that learning to be contagious. And I think that's the part that I just love to bring that, because you think about, when you get up and you go to work and you do all your whole day, when you get home, you really just want to maybe chill or whatever, but they're going back to school,
and helping our kids. So
yeah,
kudos to them for sure. And I want to be clear. So they just passed legislation in not this legislative session, but the last one, that mandated all teachers in Indiana get this training. And our teachers have already had big chunks of it because we were so ahead of the game. So again, kudos to those educators who saw the need and invested their time and their resources to do it.
So the new teachers that are coming up, will they have had this?
There's a little bit of a gap. So if you graduated last year, maybe you may not have it. But if you graduate this year and beyond, you would have, it's a 60-hour literacy endorsement. And you have to, it's sort of baked into their education program now, but it hasn't been until this year. So there's a little bit of a gap in between those. So there will be in-service teachers that have to get that training. But all of your pre-service teachers going forward will have it baked into their curriculum in the state of Indiana, which is wonderful. And we're grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And then you go back years ago. I'm just going back kind of for those maybe that do not know. I know Cassie, we've talked about this, it seems like every time you're on, but I always like to remind people, because you go back years ago, whenever, like, just to diagnose a child, usually had to go to the doctor, remember? Am I correct on that? And then now
it is. Yeah.
Like,
so yes. So it still is a medical and a psychological diagnosis. So if you're wanting an actual dyslexia diagnosis, you do have to still jump through some hoops. There's still some ways that it can be difficult. One way that it's easier, though, is that there is a law that Aaron Houchin helped to pass in the state of Indiana, that every student entering kindergarten through second grade receives a screening for characteristics of dyslexia. And this is not a diagnostic tool. It's not a diagnosis that says, yes, your child is dyslexic. But what it does do is identify those students who have gaps in their processing, in their brains. And so you can say, oh, this kid has this gap phonologically, and we need to work on that. And so what it does is identify the kids who might need extra support so that we can intervene as early as possible, because we know that the pathways in your brain that learn to read begin to close by about 4th grade. Mm-hmm. So the earlier you intervene, the better the intervention. So that has been wonderful. So it's not a diagnosis. All it does is inform everyone around you in your school which kids might need a little bit of extra support when it comes to reading. And by the way, dyslexia is not at all an indicator of your intelligence. Most people who have dyslexia, which by the way is about 20% of us, across the country, most of them are of average or above average intelligence, but the way that their brain processes information is just a little bit different than a neurotypical person. So we have to give them the supports to be successful. But the way that we teach reading for dyslexic kids, guess what? It makes everybody a better reader. So it helps everyone and it hurts no one. So we're really, really grateful that our community has understood that and invested in that and invested in our kids.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And I think the screening, I think that's any indication. And I know, like, as moms, if there's something you can catch early and catch it, I think that's, such a blessing, that it can be, worked with. And instead of having all of that confusion of why he or she's not maybe learning.
Yeah, that wait and see mentality is gone, guys. Don't wait and see. Get your kid the support that they need.
I love that. Yeah. So you said you finished up for this year.
Yes. Yep.
Now, how many kids did you have, or children did you have?
We had, I think, gosh, I'm not looking at my spreadsheet right now. 178, I think,
that's
across
awesome.
Washington County. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
we're
awesome.
real proud. And we're real grateful for our partners at Marian University, our partners at the Washington County Community Foundation, our partners at the Pacers Foundation, and also Indiana Learns, which is a program of the state, and then our Summer Learning Labs, which is also a program of the IDOE. So we're grateful that across the state we have people who are investing in our kids here in Washington County, guys, which I feel like gets forgotten how great we are.
Yeah.
And so I just keep saying, even though I'm leaving, I'm going to keep saying, invest in those kids in Washington County because they're going to surprise you. And I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely. Now, how many? Okay, so you had that many. That's a lot of children.
Yeah.
Because that's really grown from
we started with 5 kids that had good data in 2020.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, 5 kids.
In 5 years. That's incredible.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, well,
so
how did that? I don't sleep very well, but yeah.
How did that run? Was it Monday through Friday, or what was the?
So when we first started the after school program just for middle schoolers that was not connected to literacy specifically, that was just 2 days a week. And we partnered with Southern Hills Church out there.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was great. And was wonderful. And we still like to be involved in that age group for sure. And we still offer services for that age group, but just a little bit different. But tutoring really happens on your schedule. So what we do is we have all of these tutors, and we have different tutors who serve students in each district. And so we match them with students in the district that they serve, and they figure out the best time and days, and they work it out with the parents. They do it usually after school, so it eliminates some transportation barrier. We've been really lucky to partner with a lot of the after school programs in our community, so you can kind of swap kids.
Yeah.
And so that's what works best, is to say, hey, this is your tutoring kid. Figure out the best day and time with this family, and it really helps to eliminate that barrier of availability, because kids are busy these days, and it is hard to prioritize academics after a long academic day.
Yeah.
So that has really helped us to serve as many kids as possible, because it can be in their building with the teacher probably that they already have a relationship with. So that helps too.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
so it's happening 5 days a week. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
All over. If you walk into any of our elementary or middle schools, any day of the week, you'll see kids being tutored that are CAST kids.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. Makes me happy.
Yeah, it should. It definitely. It makes me happy too. What about then, are you, what's new, like, I guess, as far as you said some of the different, legislation, is there anything new, like, in?
Well, it's so this legislative year was a budget year, which is always real fun.
Yeah.
The forecasts budget wise for the state of Indiana are a little bleaker this year, but we've been really glad that they have protected a lot of money for academic intervention for students in this upcoming budget year. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to continue to serve kids with support from the IDOE. And that money was protected on some level. So we're really grateful for that. Not as much literacy intervention this year. That was more last year. But there's definitely movement. The state of Indiana is definitely a leader when it comes to literacy work and fixing some of the things that have been broken. The state of Indiana has been a little bit ahead of the curve across the nation. So we're grateful for that too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm moving to Michigan. Michigan's got a little more work to do legislatively.
Would you like to start something like this in Michigan?
Well, here's the thing. I really need health insurance. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm open to a variety of opportunities. Whatever I do is going to be supporting our youth. But yeah, if you're hiring somebody who's real passionate and real knowledgeable, give me a call. I will send you my resume if you're out there in radio land.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly where I'm going to land, but I will definitely be involved somewhere in terms of literacy for our students, even if it's as a volunteer, because I'm real passionate about it.
Well, sure. Yeah. Well, you got quite a resume there.
We'll see.
Starting it. Yeah.
From your mouth to God's ears. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We'll see.
So as far as cast and everything, and then we're kind of like in a, I don't want to say like a little bit until we start the summer program. Right?
Yeah,
so
a little bit. So summer start. Yeah, so we're in a little bit of a lull here, but we just hired 3 new people.
Yeah, let's talk about
which
them.
is wonderful. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Emily, I already mentioned, she's doing programs, so she will be the person who really plans a lot of the things. She'll be orchestrating and leading our summer charge. We'll have people in 5 buildings across our county in all 3 schools, which is going to be great. We're really grateful for that. So Emily will be the point person for that. And she'll also help to match kids with tutors in the school year. So she'll do some of our school year programming as well. And then Micah Gillum has worked for our organization. She has been our trainer, which is wonderful, training teachers here in Washington County and tutors here in Washington County for a couple of years. And she now is moving to more of a strategic partnerships role. So some of the partners that we have across the state of Indiana, she'll be in charge of maintaining those relationships, which is really important because, like I said, we want them to remember Washington County. So she'll be doing that.
Love that.
And so Emily works at Brady Schrum. Micah is a current 2nd grade teacher at East Washington, which we're so grateful to have great teachers in our schools. And I don't want her to leave that role. So she'll be doing this additionally. And then the other person that we hired is a fundraising and development person. That's Chloe Mull. She is a current 4th grade teacher at Brady Schrum, and she's also going to be doing that as her part-time gig now. She and all 3 of these people who are involved in our organization as tutors in one way or another. So they really have lots of organizational knowledge. And I'm excited. I think I think they have a lot of energy and a lot of passion, and CAST is in for some good things in the future. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm going to stay on at least through the end of the year just to kind of help everybody transition smoothly. So yeah, we'll be around virtually for the most part, but I'll be around.
Yeah. Well, we've learned that you can do a lot virtual, can't you?
Yeah, we sure have.
Have we not learned that?
We sure have.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, the world is different than it was when we moved
Now,
here,
did it go
for sure.
during? How did that go during?
COVID was tricky. Like I said, that first year we started in spring of 2020, which was a terrible time to start.
Yeah, but who
Turns
knew?
out.
Yeah, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
We started in
Wow.
January. So we did have a couple of kids that had some good data, but it was a hard time. You can do tutoring virtually. It's hard though. It takes a whole family unit that commits to it. It takes a grown-up sitting there and making sure they're paying attention.
Sure.
And it takes a kid really willing to do the work virtually. And it can be done. A lot of people tutor virtually, this particular method. And we would just follow the school schedule. We had a lot of those clear like bank barriers.
Yeah.
And masks for a while when we had to. Yeah, we're grateful that phase is over. I still have a lot of clear barriers if anybody needs any.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're grateful that's over. But we managed to still do our programs and still expand in that year where we were all stuck behind plastic. But yeah, we're grateful that period seems to be hopefully over for a while.
Yeah. Right. Now, what about have you noticed any of the results for the kids like coming up like since COVID, like maybe the ones, the kindergartners, the 1st graders?
Yeah. So I have a 5th grader and he was in kindergarten when COVID closed schools down. And you can tell, I think, a real difference and not, again, it's nobody's fault, but when you have a 5-year-old who was learning to read who now has to learn to read on a computer screen. I think some kids just missed some of that foundational skill growth that they really needed, again, through no fault of educators, just
Right.
circumstances.
Sure.
And if you don't have a family who's engaged or able to engage, that makes it hard too. So we definitely are seeing, we've seen in that age group of kids that some of them did kind of get stuck.
Mhm.
And so we do have quite a few older students that we support. I do think we're seeing a little bit of recovery, just anecdotally. I don't have any evidence of that. I think we're seeing a little bit of academic recovery because these students, and I also have a first grader, and she hasn't had any interruptions to her academic career, and that's been helpful. Everybody's had the same opportunity academically. So I'm hopeful, and I hope also that the teachers are better supported now than they were in terms of literacy instruction. So I think kids, by and large, you're going to start to see their test scores tick up. You're going to start to see them begin to recover. Now, we are not recovered. I want to be clear that we still need to invest in, especially our older students who lost so much instructional time.
Mhm.
But statewide, by the way. So if you're from the IDOE, give us some more money. But I think we're going to start to see that trajectory shift across the state and definitely in Washington County. I think we've started to see it.
Yeah, I think that was the thing that we have to remember, that everybody's on the same playing field on that.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was trying to figure out virtual and try to,
Yeah.
and the teachers were, doing
The
what they
very
could do.
best they could.
And then
yeah.
some of them, got COVID or got sick, and
Yeah.
still trying to keep up, keep doing, and of course, then we know also on a social level too, just learning that you can sit by someone, you don't have to touch them. I mean, I remember hearing some stories, just the children, or just sitting for a longer period of time was little.
Yeah,
difficult.
I think we don't quite yet know what the psychological impact on those kids is going to be, because we're all traumatized as adults. So I'm sure that, being a preschooler or being an elementary schooler, having to navigate that really stressful time, I'm sure it changed our brains in irrevocable ways, and we won't understand it for a while, but
Yeah.
hopefully we can teach them to read, and that'll help.
Right. Onward, how we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But everybody did, like you said, the best,
The very
and
best we
yeah,
could do in
yeah.
a really difficult situation. But
Well,
I think we're starting to recover, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, well, it's interesting for sure. And what a blessing that we've got, the tutors to help out,
Yes,
maybe
yeah.
for those that have needed that.
Yeah, a big shout out to all of the people who support CAST and all of the people who tutor for CAST, because they're the backbone of the organization for sure. I just come on and talk about it, but they really are on the ground floor doing the big work. So.
No, don't. Yeah, you're on the floor too. Don't think you. I know, Cassie.
Well, thank you. But.
Let's go back to the if you are a volunteer, if you want to be a volunteer,
Yeah.
or do you have too many, or?
Oh, we never have too many. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
I
we
can't
never have
possibly
too
take
many.
the help.
So we definitely have some tiers of involvement. So in order to work one-on-one with students, you have to have that reading specialist endorsement. And that one is a 40 or a 50-hour time commitment to get that endorsement to work one-on-one with students. But we also have a 20-hour training, and lots of instructional aides will take that training, which is, I think, an area where the state of Indiana has not invested heavily, and they should. And so that can be a way that you can begin working with small groups of students who maybe aren't dyslexic, aren't severely needing a lot of big help, but in a small group of students who maybe just need a little bit extra support, a little bit of explicit instruction. So that's a way and that's a 20-hour training, and is a little bit less. And then in the summer, we're hiring for summer. So if you have any interest in working with students, we are hiring and paying good rates. You can check it out on our website if you want to apply. We hire teachers, we hire instructional aides, and some assistants there to kind of help with the kids. So we have lots of ways to be involved in the summer, but we'll take a volunteer to come in and just talk to the kids about your job, talk to the kids about something you're interested in. If you have a cool hobby, we're always interested in that. But we do also, that is something that we have not done as much in subsequent years, but still have an option to do, is working in classrooms with teachers and supporting them, and continuing to do that program where I said we just went into second and third grade classrooms and tried to support. We still have that as an option too. So, and that you don't have to necessarily have training to do. It's just showing up and being involved in kids' lives, and we'll always take that too.
I'm sure the teachers
yeah.
would appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the more positive adult interactions a kid has, the better their mental health. So,
Isn't it true?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been a,
and the more
Yeah.
more armor they have against the world, I think.
I agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Now, is it important? I mean, with everything, to make sure that everybody's on the same page, like everybody's teaching the same way and the same, even
Yes,
though
it's very important.
you know what I mean. And so, was that something that you had to really make sure that that all of the, like, whenever you receive like instructions or teaching, to make sure that the teachers, everybody's going through the same, program.
Yeah, that's a huge reason why this training has been really important, because it wasn't something that was happening in the schools. It is now, to the great credit of our districts. They have really worked hard to make sure that everybody is doing the same thing at the same time. I'm not going to say that everybody is 100% perfect, but by and large, I think schools have realized, oh, we all need to be doing the same literacy, because that's the only way that it's going to work.
But we've known sometimes in the past that's not been the case.
No, that's not been the case. And so I think, especially when we started, that probably wasn't the case. It was a lot more piecemeal, but we didn't know what we know now about our brains and about reading. Many people didn't know what we know now about how kids learn to read. Right. And so as we have gotten smarter, we've done better. And that's one of my favorite quotes too, is a Maya Angelou quote: do the best you can until you know better, and then do better. And I hope that in Washington County, we're doing better because we know better now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And hopefully across the nation, by the way, because literacy isn't just bad in Indiana, it's bad everywhere.
Right.
And so that is something that is definitely happening across the nation. We're realizing we didn't know what we didn't know, and now we have to fix it.
Right.
So do you offer any community, just not in schools, but just community outreach and education about dyslexia? Because, there are people out there that think that if my kid just works,
letters,
if my kid works a little bit harder, it's going to be fine.
And most dyslexic kids are working hard. Their brains are working really hard. Mm-hmm. No, so we do. We have done some parent programs in the past. That's not something we currently have scheduled, but one way that I personally am involved is that the International Dyslexia Association of Indiana, I'm on their board, and they do a lot of advocacy and a lot of education, as well as the Indiana Dyslexia Association as well. So I like to partner with those people who are already doing it really well. But we have done some library talks where we've come into the community and said, if you just want like a 101 on dyslexia, you can come and kind of get some information about what it is. And it's really useful, because what it really is it's just your neurons are firing a little bit differently than they would. And so you have to engage them differently. And it's just a weakness in your phonological processing is really what it is. And so, yes, we have done some of that. We need to do a better job, because it is, I think, definitely hard to understand if you don't experience it.
Yes.
So we need to do a better job. But yes, there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of virtual opportunities in the state of Indiana. But I would personally like to see us do a better job of it here at home too. Yeah.
Do you have any adult persons that suspect that they have dyslexia approach Cass at all ever?
Occasionally. We don't work with adults super often. Mm-hmm. I know SOAR was doing that work for so long, and I think that happens at the library some still. But yes, often you will hear from adults who say, oh, that was me. I didn't know it, but that was me. Or, oh, I'm dyslexic. I had no idea, but I am. Often so dyslexia is really hereditary. So if you notice that your child is really struggling, often when their kid gets diagnosed, the adult will realize these things, these ways that they have coped that really were, they had dyslexia and they had to come up with a way to learn how to read. Right. So often I will find that parents are okay readers, but because they were getting their kids help, realized something about themselves that was really kind of a moment of discovery for them. So that happens pretty often. We don't, like I said, we don't actively work with adults, but we can refer you to people who do work with adults.
You have resources. Mm-hmm. That's great.
That all moment.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Well, and think about how Kareem Weaver, who is a literacy advocate in California, has said, think about living in the Bronze Age and you don't have any bronze, or think about living in the Iron Age and you don't have any iron. we live in the information age, and if you can't read, you can't access the information.
Right.
And what a deficit that puts you at for the rest of your life. And so that's what we're doing, is trying to give kids access to information for their whole life. It just keeps you safer, healthier. There's new research now that kids who are proficient readers are healthier throughout their entire life. They have a longer life expectancy even. So
Love that.
If nothing else, I'm sure they have reduced stress as far as academics.
Yeah.
Well, and just think
reading.
about having to hide that so many dyslexic kids have the tools to be able to hide that they're not proficient readers until it's too late. And that has a huge mental health toll for sure. So we want to protect our kids. So teach them to read, man.
Absolutely.
I'm always, and of course, I don't work with children. Of course, I work with elders and adults, but it's amazing how people develop coping skills when they do not know how to read or write. It's amazing.
They do.
When you think about all the things throughout the day that you need to read or sign your name or something like that, and if you don't know how to do it, I'm just stunned.
Yeah. Well, and think about how intelligent you have to be to navigate the world without that skill.
It takes so much intelligence to be able to do that.
Yeah. That's why we say dyslexic kids are smart.
Yeah.
They're smart, man.
I think it's so sad you go back in the years ago before this was all brought to the forefront or before they knew about it, that how many, children went through the cracks or and maybe they felt less than what we talked about earlier, and I'm so happy for a new day.
And I want to be clear, if you're listening and you're like, my kid's not dyslexic, this doesn't apply to me, it applies to your kid. We don't just serve dyslexic kids, we serve all kids, especially kids who just need a little support academically. And what we do is effective and structured and explicitly teaches the skills that you need. And that's something we're learning, is that often kids don't just pick up on what they need to know. They need to be explicitly taught what they need to know and then reminded over and over again. So if you're thinking your kid might need a little extra help, look into CAS this upcoming school year and summer. We got lots of spots for summer.
I love this. Love. And it's free.
It's free.
Now, is CAS free for the children too?
See? Yeah. Now listen, do give if you can give, because it's expensive.
Sure.
But that's a real passion of mine, is that literacy, it is a human right to be able to read and access the world, and we need to be able to provide that to kids. So that's something that I'm passionate about. I don't know if it'll be able to be free forever, but I hope so.
What a blessing. Now, do you ever get contacted from other states maybe, or have you?
Not from other states, but lots of other regions around Indiana for sure. Not usually other states.
And has anyone started such a program or thinking about it? Or?
There's a great program in Brown County, actually, that is run by a friend of mine that I know from the dyslexia community. But there's some programs in Indianapolis. But in terms of the level of intervention that we're doing on such a large scale, there's not really a lot like it in the state of Indiana. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist anywhere, but we're pretty unique. I would love to see this model, especially work in a rural community like ours, because it's really effective for our community. So.
When you were talking about going back to COVID, we had so many in the community, being a rural community, we did not even have internet. Remember that was a big struggle. Remember them putting
hotspots places.
They put them on a school bus and parked the school bus in an area that would, you had to be very creative, So you struggled with that too. But I think the thing that the amazing thing that if I would be saying about CAST, if you were not in the room, it's so cool how, which you are, you in the room or even behind your back, it's such a God thing how everything just started. I feel like you just like this seed got planted, Cassie. You planted it, and you were going one direction, and then your sales changed to a total different direction, and even then the doors just then once you got on that path, the doors just started opening. Would that be the way you would explain it?
That's not to say there wasn't a huge amount of work in between.
And I'm not saying there wasn't hardship, and I'm not saying there wasn't mountains to climb and valleys to go down. I'm not saying that, and I know it wasn't easy breezy. I get that, But I'm saying but looking at it from what I've seen, it just seemed like it just exploded.
Yeah, it
And
was
just-
the right thing to do at the right time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that way.
And
And
I don't
certainly it
think-
was hard. And certainly we've been so dependent on so much generosity and so grateful to so many in our community
Oh.
who invested in it. But yeah, it was the right thing at the right time. And it's, it's going to change lives of those kids.
Yeah.
So,
And that's where I was thinking like
and
a
the
formula.
adults too, frankly.
Well, definitely everybody's involved, and even our teachers that maybe didn't realize that this would be a good training and then went and got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look how much better, it made
We're
them.
all better. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's why I guess like if you were talking to another area that was wanting to start this,
Mhm.
it's kind of like a, well, you started here and then it goes here, and then it goes here, and then this goes here. And,
Yeah.
it's kind of like I guess, if you will, a map.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
how to do and what
That's
to do.
right.
And now you kind of know exactly, where to go and the resources
Most
to
of
use.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time I know where I'm
Yeah,
going.
she does. Yeah, she
Yeah.
does. Well, I think I think we're so blessed to have this, and for our children and for our school, for our county, hats off, right?
Yeah.
And continue on. And if anybody wants to be a volunteer, or how do they,
Yeah, you can look on our website. There's a way to just fill out a form and somebody will contact you. And that's a really easy way to do it. You can give us a call. You can shoot us an email. All of that information is on our website, really easily available. Our website is www.castwashco.org, castwashco.org. Or we have a Facebook page too that's Cast Washington County. So look us up. That's probably the easiest and fastest way to get involved, and we'll give you a call back and get you plugged in for sure.
and you have done a lot. I'm gonna brag on you. I hope.
I mean,
yeah.
that's fine.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
go ahead.
But I mean, not
Fill
only
my
have
cup
you
this
like
morning.
started this and then kept growing and growing and growing, but you've also had your two children too. You're a mom, and
My
you've
little
got,
babies.
and then, I mean, you've got, and then you're also, a pastor's wife. You've got a lot going on. You got a full plate right there.
Yeah, we're busy. That's
Yeah.
for sure. We're busy.
Yeah. And then, but this has been, I think it's kind of like one of those things that you say, you carve out time for things you want to do. And this has been very passionate to you, and you've led the charge, and onward how we go.
Well, thank you. That's very kind.
It's
Yeah. But again, I don't do anything alone.
no, but
I'm certainly not on an island. I'm on a real supportive, real wonderful community that has helped us get here. So
well,
So I'm happy to be the person talking today, but there's lots of people behind me who make it work. So I'm so grateful for the hundreds of people who really, really just decided it was worth spending the time and the money on.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And our children, the ones that do get tested, what grades do they start testing them?
So for the dyslexia screening, is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Kindergarten, first and second grade, you'll receive a dyslexia screening, and then each school, it's a little bit different depending on the screener that you use and the system that you use.
Mhm.
But typically, a family will receive a letter and usually a phone call that explains one way or the other what your options are. So that's usually how it works. It usually happens in the fall semester.
Okay.
Usually kindergarten sometimes is a little bit later, but there's a deadline for when those numbers have to get reported to a state. And you can look, most schools have it posted on their website. They're supposed to have it posted on their website. So if they don't, let me know.
Please do that.
But I mean, across the state, people are supposed to post it on their website. It's supposed to be free knowledge of the percentages of kids.
Sure.
So that'll happen in the fall, and then parents are notified, and sort of action steps are taken as far as make sure that your teacher understands, make sure that they're starting to get intervention in small groups and things like that.
Well,
Yeah,
and we
first,
encourage
second,
parents.
Kindergarten, first, second, but if your child is older and you suspect a problem, you can request a screening.
I love that. Okay, just go to your.
Yeah, you just talk to your teacher, your principal,
Mhm.
and you can request a screening, and every school district is supposed to provide that across the state.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Great.
and that's a way. And like I said, to get a diagnosis is very difficult, but to get a screening result is not difficult, and it
Mhm.
can help you to get some of the services that you might need to be successful.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And we love parents being involved.
Yes.
Cannot get too much
No,
involved.
you
in the
can't get too
parents.
involved,
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
that. Love that. We encourage that all the time, get involved.
Yeah.
So, Cassie, keep up the great work. So we're just waiting until that summer program starts.
Yeah.
And then,
May 27th.
Yeah.
Get your kids registered early though, because the earlier the better.
Yeah.
It really helps me plan.
Yeah, definitely. And we know that you're going to be successful in Michigan and
Yeah, I
going to
hope
be
so.
great. And I know that I know you've loved Michigan.
Yeah, my family's from there, so
I
I'm
know.
excited to spend a lot of time with my grandma and my parents.
And there's no place like home.
there's no
yeah.
place like home.
Yeah.
It'll be great, but this is just as much home to us. So it's
Yeah,
just as much a sadness. But I've been joking because I moved here with my Ford Escort, and all my possessions fit into my Ford Escort at 22 years old. And I can't even tell you how many trucks it's going to take to leave. So if nothing else, I've collected a lot of things in the last 15
Isn't
years.
it funny? Isn't that funny? Like
Oh
any
my
household,
goodness.
it's like, who brought all this stuff in
I
here,
mean,
right?
I'm about ready to toss it.
Yeah.
I don't need any of it, man.
Yeah.
I know.
But anyway.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you well, and you'll have to come back on and visit us and let us
I can
know.
call in anytime.
Oh, I'd
guys.
love that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Even if this is probably my last.
Oh,
coffee
can't
club.
do it. I didn't want. No, don't.
Man, I just realized.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I'm glad to be here.
Well.
And I didn't cry the whole time, so that's a
Yeah.
win.
No, you did good. You did good.
You
Yeah.
know what? You're going to do good things
Well,
when you
thank you.
transition.
I hope so.
Growth is always so wonderful to see in
Yeah.
people that deserve it.
I
And
hope so.
Yeah.
you've obviously made a huge impact here in Washington County, and you'll do the same in Michigan.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's very kind affirmation. I'm going to take that with me.
You should.
So my next
You should
interview.
receive that, Cassie, because it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for all you've done.
Yeah. Thank
Definitely.
you.
Yeah.
For being a platform to support us.
Well, definitely. Let's thank our sponsors, Kristen.
Coffee Club sponsors Meadowview Health and Rehab, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Americans for Prosperity, Mama Rosa's, Foxborough Wealth Management, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindigan, Marshall Monuments, McAllister Land Consulting, First Harrison Bank, Louisville Bats, Schneck Hospital, and Springs Valley Bank and Trust.
All right, everyone, let's have the